Most men think attraction starts with words. They're wrong. It starts in the nervous system long before logic catches up. I'm going to tell you something most men never hear because no one teaches you how subtle touch actually works on a woman's brain. A hug is not just a hug, it's a psychological message. And whether you realize it or not, every time you hug a woman, her body is instantly asking one quiet question: do I feel safe, seen, and slightly pulled toward this man? Or do I feel the need to pull away? From a psychological psychology of touch and attraction perspective, attraction isn't created by pressure, it's created by emotional regulation. The first rule you need to understand is this: your emotional state transfers before your arms do. If you approach a hug with anxiety, urgency, or the hidden hope that it will make her like you, her nervous system reads that as tension. Her body stiffens. Even if she smiles, something closes internally. But when you approach calmly, grounded, present, her body relaxes before her mind even has time to judge you. The second truth most men miss is pacing. Men rush hugs. Women feel rushed hugs as rule number one. Timing matters, emotional intrusion. A powerful hug begins before contact. You slow down. You pause for half a second. That pause communicates awareness and respect. Her brain registers he's tuned in. That alone separates you from most men. Now listen carefully to this next point because it's where attraction quietly flips. A hug should never be about holding on. It's about containment. Your arms create a secure frame, not a squeeze. Psychologically, this tells her nervous system that you are stable, not rule number two. Body position grasping signals insecurity, containment signals confidence. Another rule: your chest matters more than your arms. When your chest is open, not puffed up, not collapsed, you signal emotional availability without neediness. This is deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Women are wired to respond to emotional safety first, chemistry second. Get the order wrong, and attraction shuts down. There's also something important about duration. Too short feels dismissive. Too long feels rule number three. Hug duration invasive. The sweet spot is long enough for her breathing to sync once with yours. That's it. One shared breath. That's where emotional familiarity forms. And finally, understand this: the most powerful part of a hug is how it ends. You release first, calmly, cleanly, no hesitation, no lingering to see if she lets go. When you release with certainty, her brain registers leadership and self-control, two traits that quietly amplify attraction. A hug done right doesn't beg, it doesn't take. Rule number 4, emotional energy. It leaves her feeling slightly more grounded than before and wondering why. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most men never confront. Women don't remember how you hugged them nearly as much as they remember how they felt about themselves during that moment. Attraction doesn't come from technique alone. It comes from the emotional mirror you hold up to her nervous system. One of the biggest psychological mistakes men make is hugging from the shoulders instead of the center. When your arms lead but your body stays distant, it creates a mixed rule number 5, what not to do signal. Her brain reads inconsistency. Confidence is congruent. When you hug, your torso should be present without pushing forward. This subtle alignment tells her, I'm here and I'm not hiding. Women are extremely sensitive to incongruence because it often signals emotional unpredictability. Another rule that matters more than men realize is breath control. If your breathing is shallow or fast, her body unconsciously matches it. That raises stress, not attraction. Slow, steady, rule Thurber 6. Ending the hug. Right breathing signals, calm leadership. It tells her nervous system she can relax inside your presence. This is why some men feel comfortable and others feel intense in a way that doesn't invite closeness. Let's talk about hand placement because, yes, it matters psychologically. Hands that grip or roam signal uncertainty in testing behavior. Hands that rest firm but relaxed signal decisiveness. Decisiveness is attractive rule, NER 7. Creating emotional safety because it reduces ambiguity. When a woman doesn't have to wonder what you're doing, her mind is free to feel. There's also an emotional boundary rule most men violate without knowing it. A hug should never be used to check for attraction. When you hug to see if she leans in, holds longer, or responds a certain way, you're outsourcing your confidence to her reaction. Women sense this instantly. It creates pressure. The strongest hugs come from men who already feel complete, whether the hug is returned warmly or not. Now listen closely. The direction of energy matters. If you hug into her, it feels final female psychology insight like pursuit. If you hug around her, it feels like protection. One creates resistance, the other creates ease. Protection doesn't mean dominance, it means emotional steadiness. It says, I can hold space without needing anything from you. Eye contact before and after the hug is another overlooked factor. Looking away too quickly suggests discomfort. Staring too long suggests hunger. A calm, neutral gaze communicates emotional maturity. It tells her, you're regulated, not reactive. And here's a rule almost no one talks about: never explain a hug. No, I'm a hugger. No nervous jokes. Explanation kills emotional impact. Confident behavior doesn't need justification. When you explain, you shrink the moment and invite her to evaluate it instead of feel it. A woman doesn't become attracted because of pressure or performance. She becomes attracted when her body experiences you as safe, grounded, and emotionally self-contained. When your hug leaves her nervous system calmer than before, attraction doesn't need to be forced. It quietly forms on its own. There's a deeper layer most men never consider, and this is where attraction becomes almost silent but powerful. A woman's body is constantly scanning for emotional leadership, not control leadership. And a hug, when done correctly, answers that scan without a single word. One rule that changes everything is posture before contact. If you collapse your shoulders or lean your head forward, you subconsciously signal emotional burden. Her body reads, he wants comfort. That reverses polarity, attraction weakens. When your spine is neutral and relaxed, you communicate that you are already emotionally regulated. Women are drawn to men who can self-soothe. It creates trust at a biological level. Another overlooked rule is intention. If your intention is to trigger attraction, it backfires. Intention leaks. Women are highly attuned to subtext because historically their safety depended on it. When your intention is simply presence, no outcome, no agenda, her nervous system opens. Attraction is a response, not a goal. Let's talk about emotional pressure. Many men apply it without realizing. They hug tighter when they feel insecure. They linger when they want reassurance. They pull back abruptly when they fear rejection. Each of these movements communicates emotional instability. Stability is what creates attraction over time. A hug should feel the same whether you're confident or unsure. Consistency is seductive because it feels safe. There's also the concept of emotional contrast. If you are loud, fast, and expressive all the time, your hug doesn't stand out. But if your presence is calm and grounded, the hug becomes a moment of emotional quiet. That contrast creates memorability. Her brain marks the experience as different. Different is intriguing. One of the most subtle rules is allowing space inside the hug. You don't collapse her into you. You don't trap. You allow her body to settle naturally. Psychologically, this gives her autonomy. Autonomy increases attraction because it removes the fear of being consumed or controlled. Timing matters too. Hugs that come after emotional connection feel natural. Hugs that come before connection feel performative. If you haven't established emotional rapport, keep the hug light and brief. Depth comes after trust, not before. Men who rush depth signal impatience, not confidence. And here's something most men never hear. Attraction grows when a woman feels emotionally respected, not emotionally overwhelmed. A hug should never make her feel like she owes you closeness, warmth, or affection in return. The moment she feels obligation, attraction fades. The most attractive men don't use touch to create desire. They use touch to express emotional steadiness. Desire follows naturally because her body recognizes something rare, someone who doesn't need her to feel whole. When a hug leaves her feeling calm, centered, and slightly more connected to herself, you've done more than most men ever will. You've spoken directly to her subconscious, and it's listening. By now, you're beginning to understand that a hug isn't just a physical action, it's a psychological signal that can quietly, almost imperceptibly, trigger attraction if done with mastery. But there's one last set of rules that separates men who create magnetic presence from men who are forgettable the moment they step away. The first of these is subtle mirroring without overdoing it. Aligning your micro movements with hers, her breathing rhythm, the tilt of her head, the way she shifts her weight, creates subconscious rapport. Mirroring communicates familiarity and understanding, two things women crave on a deep instinctive level. Done poorly, it feels fake. Done naturally, it feels magnetic. Next, think about energy flow. Men often mistake intensity for attraction. A powerful hug isn't about pressing, it's about flowing. Your body communicates stability while allowing her space to move freely within the embrace. Energy that's too rigid triggers resistance. Energy that's too soft triggers confusion. Flowing energy tells her, I'm present, I'm grounded, and you can feel that without words. Then comes subtle playfulness. A light natural tease or a smile as you release the hug communicates comfort and confidence. It reassures her nervous system that she's safe, while signaling that you are emotionally alive and aware. Emotional rigidity kills attraction. Emotional awareness, especially paired with calm, groundedness, sparks curiosity and desire. Another overlooked rule is post-tug pacing. The moment you release, don't rush to distraction. Let a beat linger. That silence allows her brain to process the emotional message you just delivered. If you step away immediately or overtalk, you undermine the effect. Let her nervous system land before the next interaction. There's also a truth most men don't realize. Attraction is amplified by scarcity of overexposure. A hug should be meaningful, not routine. If every encounter is accompanied by the same physical contact, your presence loses weight. Strategic, emotionally resonant hugs become small, repeated emotional shocks that her mind remembers. Finally, the most powerful aspect of all, the hug is your canvas. Confidence, calmness, emotional steadiness, subtle mirroring, intentional energy flow, they all paint a subconscious picture in her mind, one she can't fully articulate, but one that draws her toward you in ways words never could. Women don't just feel the hug, they feel you through it. Here's a question for you to reflect on. If a hug is 50% your presence, 30% your energy flow, and 20% timing, how do you think you can adjust your approach to maximize attraction? Write your answer in the comments below. If this video gave you insight, subscribe and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. You just learned the rules no one else tells.